Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. And I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in at 8:45 in the morning. I know you guys probably have other things to do. So thanks for spending your time with me. Okay, so the RSI trade from yesterday, UAL, I was telling you guys it had a really good setup for a short opportunity. So what happened is UAL decided that it wanted to pop a little bit, get within, less than $1 of our entry price for a short, and then pulled back about 2.5%. Then it decided to chop sideways and not really do a whole lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down the UAL chart. So here it is. You're into some really good resistance levels for UAL, which is, kind of what I was looking at initially with the intraday play as well. So for me, this is a really good possibility. If you guys are long UAL, this would be a great opportunity to possibly take some profits. Or you could wait a little bit higher, 103.84. You've got this high pivot right here. Basically, this was a start of a red bar candle before a decent downturn. So once price action gets back up into that level, you should be met with some resistance. Not only that, but what I was noticing is the RSI and the price action are starting to mirror each other, meaning that price action is moving lower, RSI is moving lower, RSI is moving higher, price action is moving higher. So the more and more this starts to happen, the more and more you can start to play the relative strength index, and going up to 70 could signal overbought. One thing that you want to wait for, and this is really important, if the relative strength index starts staying around the 70, and I'll show you in the Nvidia chart, and price action, the volatility in the price action really starts to dissipate, then that's a kind of a stock to stay away from unless you're bull. And then you just say, all right, well, until we get more volatility in this, I can go ahead and hang out in this a little bit longer. And I'll show you how to do that in, like I said, in the Nvidia chart. So here was our trade of UAL. Let's go to the 1 minute chart, show you what I was looking at the prior day. So you had this good price action. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, give you guys more idea of what I was seeing. So here's the price action I was talking about. The volatility in the price action didn't change. The relative strength index action didn't change. And then you just had this nice float higher. On the daily time frame, this works the same, right? So if you're having a lack of volatility, but the relative strength index isn't staying isn't whipping either, it's a great thing for a bull, or on the downside, it's great for bears if you guys are shorting things. So I was anticipating it getting up to $100.25, and then the market opened, and then we had a flush out. Here's what happened. You had this nice flush out, dropped 2%. It did pop a little bit higher, got to $99.36 or something. So it was a decent pullback, but then look what happened. Price action stabilized, relative strength index stabilized. And so then you had this nice float higher. So that means that institutions are involved. There's not a lot of selling pressure. There's not a lot of fear in this particular stock. And so that's what happened. UAL just continued to move higher. $100.25 is no longer my entry price for this. That was a play for yesterday, but it kind of just gives you an idea of what can happen when the relative strength index stays high for a long period of time. So I still anticipate UAL going higher. My entry price would be $103.84. If I was going to use this as a day trade, I have another trade of the day for you guys on this. Another thing I was looking at was a crypto, AEROUSD Finance USD. So there's a couple different things I'm looking at with the EARO. So you've got this negative, you're starting to get some negative RSI divergence. It's slight, but you've got a high price here, higher price here. You got a high price here and a slightly lower price, RSI here. So it's starting to give some negative RSI divergence. If it heads all the way up to $1.58 or basically $1.59, you're going to be met with some resistance. And so that would be a great opportunity for you to remove profits. Or if you're a bear, look to go into the shorts. All right. Let's go into SEI. SEI is kind of given the same indication, although this one is more of a putting in a head and shoulders pattern. So this would be a situation where if you've got this down sloping trend line right here, you could break above it. But right now it's telling me the relative strength index is staying weak. It hasn't pushed up and started recapturing the 70, which means that it's a weaker stock on the day. That means it's indicating to me that there's more sellers involved than there are buyers. And so that's kind of pushing the RSI a little bit lower. So I would look for a move back down to 30. If this breaks this neckline, then you got a pretty good downside target, probably around 16 cents. All right, let's go ahead and go into Nvidia. All right. So here's what I was talking about. So I was mentioning UAL, and every once in a while you can get these parabolic moves. See how the price action is just floating. So what I've done is I've created this upsloping parallel channel because there's a lack of volatility. So when there's a lack of volatility in the stock, that means that there's not a lot of fear. There's not a lot of buying pressure or selling pressure, which means that any type of a little bit of momentum can really push this stock one way or another. And right now, because it's bullish sentiment, Nvidia is going to keep creeping higher and higher. And I'm going to show you that the relative strength index has stayed above 60 for an extended period of time. Does this? I do think that Nvidia is overdue and is due for a pullback. But what we're waiting for is this upsloping parallel channel to break. All right, so you've got this beautiful upsloping parallel channel starting to get some negative RSI divergence, even more so. The volatility is picking up slightly, but so negative RSI divergence, you're looking for lower lows on the relative strength index, higher highs on the price action. You want this break. Once this upsloping parallel channel or this upsloping trend line breaks, then you should see the relative strength index head back down to the 40 or 50. If we can get some good price action, if it gets back down to 40 and it gets down to $152, this could be an opportunity to pick this up for a long. And it really depends on what the overall sentiment in the market is, what the earnings are, and all that stuff. But if you're going to play this on the downside, that would be my downside target, about a 15% move. But right now, we can't use the RSI because it's a movement indicator. And right now, we're not having any indication that there's any other movement other than price going to the upside. All right, so I went over Ethereum a while ago, a couple days ago, and Ethereum gave some negative RSI divergence. It's continuing with the negative RSI divergence, meaning that the RSI hasn't recaptured this 88% or 88 on the relative strength index. It's heading lower as price action is heading higher. So I do have this double top. I did mention that, you know, a close above right here, probably around 4,000 would be a great opportunity to like exit your shorts or exit your longs and start a shorting position. And so I actually did that based on the fact that this negative RSI divergence, and then it continued to go higher. It actually went up about 20% higher. Now you're coming to double top. So this double top area is going to be a major resistance level. If we get here, we could pop through all the way to 5,000. But based on what's happening with the relative strength index, it is indicating that there is likely to be a rollover in Ethereum. And so that's what I anticipate. It doesn't mean it's going to be a big rollover. Could just come back down to retest this 4112 level or even get back down to this 3390 level. So that would be probably a downside target potential for Ethereum. I'm not looking for a big move, but overall, it does favor a move to the downside. All right. So next thing I'm going to go over is the relative strength trade of the day. eBay was up about 4% yesterday, and it gave the same indication that the UAL trade kind of gave. I'm going to set my targets a little bit lower than I normally do as far as an entry price on this. I do think that there is still potentially more upside in eBay. The relative strength index, it has created all-time highs. The price action and consolidation has slowed down a lot. But intraday, if we can get a pop in the early morning, we should get an okay pullback. I'm only looking for about a 2% pullback. So this is a day trade, right? So I'm not saying eBay is going down back to $85. I'm saying, all right, so if it hits our target, I expect like a 2% pullback from that level. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the trade of the day. So here's the chart of eBay. You've got this nice price action. There's really no volatility in the price action. Look at this, 0.5% from the top, 0.5% from the top. So this shows me that there's a lot of strength in eBay. One reason to stay away from stocks like this is if you notice that there's not very many pullbacks and you're getting these peaks in the relative strength index, even putting in negative RSI divergence, but still no pullbacks, stay away from it until the following day. So my entry price on eBay is going to be 102, a pierce of 102. So let's go 102.03. So if eBay hits up to 102.03, I'm going to initiate a short and look for about a 2% pullback based on the fact that the relative strength index stayed high for as long as it did. So we're looking for a pullback right to about $100. Okay, so we're looking for about a $2 pullback on eBay based on the fact that the relative strength index stayed high for as long as it did. And this would be from the closing price. It's only 1% move to the upside. So that is what I'm targeting today. That's what I'm looking at. And so that is the trade of the day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I will be here every day when the market opens at 8:45. So please make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell, ring that bell so that you can get notified. And then Gareth Soloway is going to be going live. He's got economic data. He's going to go over, saw the markets drop a little bit. So I know he's going to be excited. You want to stay tuned for that. So please, at 9 o'clock, he'll go live. Watch Gareth Soloway, and we'll see you guys next time in the charts. Take care.
Hey guys, Lawton here with Verified Investing, and today I'm here to talk about Kinesis.money, our sponsor. Thank you to Kinesis for sponsoring us. So Kinesis has this awesome thing called yields, in which you can literally earn gold by just performing different activities on their website and their platform. So the first way that you can earn on Kinesis.money is through their holders yield. So basically what that is if you buy some KAG or KAU from them, which is basically equivalent to gold or silver, they're one-to-one crypto equivalent of gold and silver, you're able to collect money from them, right? A percentage of all of the fees that Kinesis takes over transactions, over buying KAU, KAG, or anything else is distributed to people that hold on to KAG and KAU. So super cool. Now velocity, the velocity spending is also really cool. So if you spend KAU or KAG, you're actually going to get a percentage of all the fees. Again, this is of all the fees that Kinesis takes relative to how much you use Kinesis. So this is things from going to the grocery store and buying things on your Kinesis card. This are things like buying KAG, KAU, sending it to someone else. And finally, it's the same thing as trading on their platform, right? If you do any of those things, you qualify for this velocity yield. The next awesome way that you can earn with Kinesis is through the referrers yield. So if you refer any friends, family, you'll get a percentage of all of their transactions in perpetuity, which is super cool. They also have a partner for a program for partners and minters. But what I really want to focus on is this KBT, the most exciting part of Kinesis for me. 20% of all of the shares of all the transaction fees that happen on Kinesis are going to be distributed to holders of the KVT crypto token. There's a limited amount of crypto supply, but that's a really cool way to actually own part of Kinesis. You can get in on the ground level and just hold those tokens and collect a nice return. Thank you so much to Kinesis for sponsoring this video, and go check out their website at Kinesis.money.